This is a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note. I can buy nothing with it. Not even egg. Because consumer sentiment is soaring now. Does it mean that we're out of the woods, that everything is just hunky-dory? No, it does not. What it does is it sets up for an even bigger disappointment when that tariff inflation really rears its ugly head. So it makes it so much more important to have your physical gold, your physical silver, your sound money strategy set up so that it doesn't really matter.
Consumer confidence is up, but don't be fooled. Inflation, tariffs, and devaluation remain in effect. Lynette Zang breaks down what the headlines aren't telling you. The U.S. consumer has been in a bad mood, and it's no wonder, given the threat of tariffs, a dramatic stock market sell-off last month, and years of elevated inflation following the pandemic. But under the hood, analysts say household balance sheets are healthy, and if President Donald Trump continues to retreat on his trade wars, that could help lift the clouds over the consumer spending outlook. The OECD now projects global GDP growth to decline from 3.3% in 2024 to 2.9% in both 2025 and 2026. In the U.S., growth is expected to slow to 1.6% in 2025, down from an earlier estimate of 2.8%. The dollar was down 0.5% against its rivals. A weaker dollar makes bullion more appealing for other currency holders. Gold has been rallying since the Sunday opening, following the Trump administration's decision to appeal the U.S. federal court decision to block the tariffs on imports. The precious metal is at the highs of the day following an ISM Manufacturing report that was not the best. Lynette said that even though people are feeling more confident now, that doesn't mean everything is fine. That's why she strongly advises people to hold physical gold and silver and to have a solid financial strategy based on real, tangible assets. According to her, if you're prepared with sound money, it won't matter as much what surprises come next. As we dive into the video, remember to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. We value your thoughts, so drop a comment below and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content.
Because there's a lot that's happening in these markets, and with President Trump delaying the 50% tariff on European Union, the markets are soaring, consumer confidence is soaring. But he didn't say that he's not going to do tariffs, and there is tariff inflation that is trickling down because corporations have no idea what's going on. And the markets and corporations like certainty. So we will get this certainty, but does it mean that suddenly, because consumer sentiment is soaring now, does it mean that we're out of the woods, that everything is just hunky-dory? No, it does not. What it does is it sets up for an even bigger disappointment when that tariff inflation really rears its ugly head. So it makes it so much more important to have your physical gold, your physical silver, your sound money strategy set up so that it doesn't really matter. I did an interview this morning with Kai Hoffman over at SOAR Financials. And he asked me, the last question that he asked me was really an interesting question. And I'm going to put this out to you. I don't know if anybody could answer this question, but he's like, what is it that you're not seeing? I'm paraphrasing, but what is it that you're not seeing that could happen? I don't know. That's why they're called a black swan event. Although in New Zealand and in Australia, but in New Zealand particularly, lots and lots and lots of black swans. So if I knew it, then I'd be watching it. Nobody really knows what event might possibly come out of left field that nobody is really paying attention to. Or there's a small group, because I think it's in the derivative markets, that are paying attention, but they're the ones that dictate whether or not we see it until they lose control. My job is to translate financial noise into understandable language so that you can make an educated choice on putting your best interests first. I don't even care if you disagree with me. I will fight to the death for your right to make that choice. All I'm really trying to do is help you make educated choices. We only have one more support level to address before we are in no man's land, and I think that will trigger then the hyperinflation. And as more and more digits get put on the currency to buy those everyday goods and services that we buy, then the less confidence people will have. And so it's a self-fulfilling doom loop. Just like, because this is the other part of that doom loop, the world turning away from the dollar and the dollar-denominated assets, specifically the treasury bonds, which is the foundation of the global markets. It's been going like this with all the volatility, which is really not what you want to see inside of a foundation, right? I mean, then you're on a fault line. So you could say the whole world right now is on a fault line. And, you know, so we get the loss of confidence, then we get the hyperinflation, and then we get the revaluation. So I'm kind of saying it like it's kind of an easy thing, but these things take time. I don't think the revaluation is going to happen this year because we haven't even, and we need a melt up.
In an economy that is among the fastest growing in the world, a significant portion of the U.S. population still struggles with one of the most crucial aspects of personal finance, investing. Stock markets will crumble, student debt will ignite a broader collapse, and the middle class, especially retirees, could see their life savings vanish. Traps lock people into debt, discourage entrepreneurship, and create dependence on a fragile financial system. Inflation is destroying the dollar's purchasing power, and millions of middle-class investors are sleepwalking toward economic ruin. Zang says the real question is, when will this become obvious to the public? She believes that within the next 2 to 3 years, we could see a dramatic financial shift, what she calls an overnight reset, where currencies could be revalued against gold, and possibly even zeros could be chopped off our money, like what has happened in countries facing hyperinflation. But she also admits that the timeline is a guess. It could happen sooner or later.
Kind of an easy thing, but these things take time. I don't think the revaluation is going to happen this year because we haven't even, and we need a melt up, right? So there are a few things, there are a few triggers that I'm personally looking for that will indicate when we go into that mode. But 100%, I will tell you that there's already been some pattern shifts. So I think we're already in it. It's just not obvious. That's what you're really asking me, is when is it going to become obvious, and so obvious that we need to lop off zeros. And there's your overnight reset against gold. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years. But that's a guess, and I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be wrong, which means it could be sooner, it could be later. But in the meantime, you utilize this time to learn more skills, to get your sound money strategy in place and executed, to make sure that you have surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, which you know for me is primarily silver. Anything physical is barterable. Any talents you have is also barterable. Your wealth preservation, which for me is gold. Community, you have the time to build the community, and the more time that you can take to do that, the more confidence people will have inside of that community, and of course shelter, and that does include your medications and all of that. But call us, let us walk you through that, and we'll help you make educated choices always, even if you disagree with us. Remember, ultimately, the choices and the decisions are yours, and you are the one that is going to suffer the consequence or reap the rewards of any of those choices that you make. Just hopefully they're educated, and we're doing it together so that you're not alone. Is it getting more expensive, or is the currency getting less valuable? That's the piece. If you can have that paradigm shift to understand that this currency is losing its purchasing power value, that shifts everything. It shifted everything for me. I'm sure it will for you. and Samuel spit. But keep laughing, because we've got to laugh inside of this. I hope I don't seem like this really negative doom and gloomer, because personally, I have a lot of hope. And part of that is in the community, because we've been pushed away from each other, so we're not having these conversations, but I think we're coming back together again. And that's really important to have happen.
In today's uncertain financial landscape, short-term market optimism, like soaring consumer confidence and temporary tariff delays, can be misleading. Beneath the surface, inflation continues to rise, corporate uncertainty grows, and global confidence in the US dollar weakens. While some signs may not yet be obvious, structural cracks in the financial system are already forming, and many experts believe we are heading toward a major economic reset. The foundation of the global financial system, especially US Treasury bonds, is showing signs of instability, and a shift away from the dollar is gaining momentum. In light of these trends, people are accumulating gold as a haven. If the financial system were to reset, what assets do you believe would best preserve wealth and purchasing power? We welcome your insights in the comments section below. If you found this content valuable, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to stay informed.